Microphone check, 1 2 1 2. And clap. And we are back once again with not quite a new episode, but this is almost an emergency podcast here. ATP podcast around the post. Fig GPT is in the building with urgent news for us, and it's your boy Jay here. And we've got a lot to discuss, right?
Yes, we do. This is considered one of the biggest upsets of all time. Period. So, first of all, if I butcher his last name, apologies for that. Botic Van Slump. He lost first round of French Open, first round of Australian Open, and he was actually considering quitting tennis before beating Alcaraz.
Jeez.
What are your thoughts on that?
That's pretty crazy. What do you think? So, does he think that he played exceptionally high level, or does he think that Alcaraz had a bad day? And does it matter in the grand scheme of his morale?
Well, what I'm thinking of for sure, losing in the first round of 2 Grand Slams, I can see why he wanted to quit. But then when he beats the 3 seed in the tournament, now he's okay. The morale is up.
Yeah.
So although he did lose right away to Draper, he had a big victory that got to him and probably said, okay, I can still play.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that went on in the match. First of all, for being such a big guy, he only had 2 aces in that match, but he was serving really well. But the intriguing part was Alcaraz's behavior. We all know that when stuff goes awry, he has a game plan in the beginning and he can't figure stuff out. He, in the middle of the match, he went up to El Mosquito and put his hand on his brain and then started to do one of these numbers as in, I'm not thinking, or whatever it was. McEnroe interpreted a totally different way. He said, not only am not thinking, but you didn't give me a good game plan, so you weren't thinking. What are your thoughts on that interpretation? Or do you think it was more Alcaraz saying, I'm not thinking?
I think Alcaraz was blaming himself. I didn't get the sense that he was blaming his coach for the situation. And I mean, we'll speak about this in a moment, but his press conference also alludes to him blaming himself more.
Yes.
So I didn't interpret it that way.
Yes, I didn't think so either. But again, he does have a lot of times where he just doesn't find his legs and fitting into the match, and he just can't continue. So now we're going to get to what he said. He said, I was actually waiting for Botic to drop his intensity, and he just never did. And by the time I got my footing into the match, it was too late. Do you want to comment on that?
Yeah. To me, that type of play and that mindset it just isn't what Alcaraz is known for, or what other players speak of when they discuss experiencing playing against him. Typically, he's the unrelenting pressure, always pressing into his opponents. And it's unusual for me to hear him saying he was waiting for someone else to drop a gear.
Yes.
I just don't understand him converting to that complacent mindset. I don't want to say that it was this drastic, but, they have the saying of, are you playing to win or are you playing not to lose? And I don't think it was that extreme, but this is in that realm of mindset switching where you're out there, you're hitting the ball, you're playing the sport, but you're not going into the match with the right mindset. And I think that he got kind of caught in a lull mentally.
Yes. He did the same thing in Cincinnati. He admitted against Monfils that was the worst match he's ever played, and that when he cracked his racket. We didn't get to cover that, but do you want to talk about that or move on?
The Monfils one, if you're a spectator, it wasn't so large of an upset because we've always painted the picture of Monfils as the guy that if he really locks in, and if you experience Monfils on his absolute best day, no one's safe, right? So when the number 3 guy in the world loses to him, we all go, wow, this is surprising, but this isn't surprising. It didn't seem impossible.
Right.
So us as fans, we didn't overreact to that loss. We almost celebrated for Monfils, and we didn't feel bad for Alcaraz, right?
Yes.
This time it's very different.
Right.
The opponent is not a guy that's supposed to do this. So the Monfils situation, I'll admit, even for myself, I'm not going to overthink this. No big deal. This time around, I'm really dwelling on it. I'm really thinking about what does it mean. Is this guy playing out of his mind? Is this guy having an off day? Is it a combination of the two? It can't be as simple as just that guy was a danger at all times and we just didn't know it.
Yes, I agree. He does do where, again, he loses his frame of mind and he just starts going for dumb shots. He tries to either go full on 100% or not. He doesn't even go, let me find my footing, let me find my topspin. He just goes 100% and goes all out. And if he wins, if he makes the big shot, he makes it. If he doesn't, he doesn't. So we're going to talk about that in a bit. But then he was asked if playing Wimbledon, the French Open, and the Olympics drained him. He said that it did a little bit, but he is probably a player that needs more breaks. And if he were to get better at that he would be a better player. Do you agree with that statement?
I can agree with it to some degree. Burnout is real, This is a mentally exhausting sport. And it's a sport you share with just yourself while out there on the court as far as the stress and the tension and the anxiety goes. And to play tournaments consistently that aren't of high stakes is not so bad, right? But then we talk about almost back-to-back here, the French Open, Wimbledon, the Olympics, and then the U.S. Open. These are high-tension, high-anxiety, high-stakes tournaments almost completely back-to-back. And I think that has a little bit of mental wear and tear on some of the players. And we're almost seeing a bit of a pattern in the people who did go deep in those first 3 events. How are they doing now?
Right.
There's definitely a pattern. If someone made, and this is a small group of people, if someone made quarters or better in all of those first 3 events, are they still in the U.S. Open right now?
Yeah, they're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is Musetti.
Yeah.
A deep run in the Olympics.
Yeah. Felix,
yes.
Yes. There's a few of them.
Right. So this is telling because last year in the Asian swing, he performed terribly as well. So, I could see him having to have more break time and not force tournaments. But he's been, in my opinion, a little bit lackadaisical on that. But when he fixes that, he should be better.
Yeah.
And then he was asked about what he felt inside. And he said, I was fighting myself. And I need to work on that if I want to compete. And he says he hasn't been able to figure that part out yet. What are your thoughts on that growing pain?
Yeah, this is a sport that I almost pride on it being such a internal battle as well as an external battle for any athlete in tennis. And I think that what separates the top 10 from the rest is how well you handle the internal battle, right? We have some guys that have top 5 talent, but are stuck in the top 20 because of their struggle with that internal battle. Then we have some guys who seem to always find a way to stay in the top 5, even if they aren't the most premium talent, because they have found a way to master comfort within themselves. I think a lot of Medvedev when I bring that up. Medvedev to me is not the most premium raw talent on the tour, but he's someone who's a little more comfortable in his skin when he plays tennis. And it shines through, I would go as far as making the hot take Tsitsipas is a more raw talented player than Medvedev. But Tsitsipas is struggling brutally with the internal battle with self.
Yes.
And Alcaraz, someone who's found a lot of early success, I think that he was out there not thinking so much in the beginning, and it made it easier. And now he's almost smart enough to be a danger to himself. He knows a little too much. He's experienced a little more. He's got more on his mind. There's more pressure now. There's more expectations now. There's more stakes involved. There's stakeholders. There's people who are betting on him. There's people who need him to win. There's people who want him to win. And there's also people who don't. And,
exactly.
I think that all these things are new for a guy his age. And I don't think it's something he won't overcome, but he's experiencing what it's like to learn how to overcome that. And that's going to take time.
Yes, I agree. You also have to think that Djokovic had problems as well early on in his career.
Yeah.
Changed his diet, and then all of a sudden he just started winning.
Yeah.
So he's going to figure it out. It is a little annoying to see that once the plan goes away, he just doesn't know what to do. Mm-hmm. But I'm hoping that he figures it out, because obviously he's a talent. 4 Grand Slams at the age that he has, and a lot of people are expecting a lot of him. Mm-hmm. So that could be a lot of pressure within itself.
Yeah.
But then lastly, he was asked, is losing the gold medal, did that affect him at all? Mm-hmm. And then he said, no, it really wasn't that. It was trying to figure out how to shake things off within himself. Mm-hmm. Do you agree with that?
I partially agree with that, only because I don't think the gold medal, winning or losing with the gold medal situation, was truly a loss. Obviously, he was disappointed. He's a guy who likes winning. But it's also a guy who made it to the finals and got a silver medal. I don't think that getting a finalist positioning is really going to impact your performance in the early rounds of a Grand Slam. We could probably talk about it if he got towards the semis or the finals of the U.S. Open, having self-doubt and closing out a major event. But I don't think he felt insecure in opening up a major event. So, no, I don't think that it was an Olympics-related thing mentally. I think maybe physically that's possible. I think maybe the burnout aspect is a possibility, but not literally the rent-free thoughts of, wow, I lost. I don't think it was that.
Yes, so that's pretty much, unless you have anything else to add?
A little bit.
Okay.
I did want to bring up just some funny stats that make this loss even more peculiar. And maybe I have a few questions for you as well. So, he played Botic, and Alcaraz had 1 double fault in this match. His opponent had 7. That's pretty crazy, because then you look at how many breakpoint opportunities each of them had. Botic had 9 breakpoint opportunities. Alcaraz had only 5. To me, this is a statistic that shows that Alcaraz kind of just played poorly. Unless that Botic played at an elite high level. Because Botic still gave up breakpoint opportunities and had several more double faults. Which means that there was a lot of at-bat opportunities for Alcaraz to shift the momentum of this match, and he just couldn't do it. He wasn't capitalizing, and he wasn't winning the big points, even with the amount of errors he made. So, what are your thoughts overall as far as the loss? Let me ask you this question. Did Alcaraz lose this match because he went against a guy who was just on fire that day? Did he have an off day, or is there something in between?
I think it's a little bit of both. Mm-hmm. He did have a spectacular day. Mm-hmm. He was hitting his spots, big targets, and again, Alcaraz admitted he was waiting for him to go down in level, and it didn't happen. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit of both. Mm-hmm. He did complain about Cincinnati playing super fast, mm-hmm. and the U.S. Open wasn't playing as fast, but it was still playing fairly fast. So the surface might have been a problem for him as well.
Okay. Yeah, that's all I got.
All right. In that case, I hope you guys were entertained with this topic.